So, when you show up to a gas station at 2 a.m. and you walk in to get your favorite Slurpee, and you notice Kevin is there emptying out the machine, getting the last one, you look down at his pocket and you notice in his left pocket he's carrying a blade. What do? You go to the gas station knife fighting grip. What is the gas station knife fighting grip? Well, it is a reverse grip. Now, with a reverse grip, you can either go edge in or edge out. And why would you want to use a reverse grip, by the way, for anything, self-defense related? A lot of people will say either one, you're dumb, or two, you're a pro. One of the two. And I completely disagree on this. Some people will say that it's better for you to go with a forward grip rather than a reverse grip. Now, I disagree with that too. I think the forward grip is just fine. I think if that's what you're comfortable with, perfectly fine. But if you know how to jab, which everybody pretty much does, the backwards grip is actually really good. So you generate more power with it. It's faster because striking upward with a blade, yes, you have a lot of power, especially, if you're at the other end of a blade. But if you turn your hand backwards and basically do a hammer fist with the blade coming out of the back of your hand, you can generate a lot of power that way. Now, if the edge is facing in, some people prefer that. If your limb gets grabbed, you can strip the limb off of you because the edge is facing when you pull back. Now, if the edge is facing out, you're not going to be able to do that. And we will talk a little bit more about grips and situations and things moving forward. So, the first one on the list that I do want to bring up is, and this is for the budget category, the CIVIVI ELEMENTUM button lock. Now, this one works in all grips, whether the edge is facing towards you, the edge is facing out, or in a regular forward grip. Now, one thing is very important with any reverse grip. Always cap the end. You must cap the end because when you go to jab, you don't want to slip up the blade. So cap the end and you will get a lot more power, regardless which direction it is. Now, if you're in the forward grip, let's just say, you can cap the end of it and let your palm kind of get the back of it so it kind of has a placement to hit. But, usually you can strike pretty good without the risk of slipping up as long as you're hanging on really tightly. But in the backwards grip or the reverse grip, cap the end always. Now, this one's really cool because it's not a conventional button lock. Now, conventional button locks, I wouldn't trust at all because they have the potential to slip. This is a liner that has a disc attached, and that disc goes right behind the blade, so the only way for it to fail is if you push that disc out of the way. I'm sure it can break, but it's relatively tough considering. So it locks open and locks closed. This is a gravity knife. 14C28N, my card is scales, but you can get yourself some aftermarket titanium scales. They don't sell this exact version anymore, but you can basically make this version or even a better version with contoured titanium scales if you wanted to upgrade it. But what's really cool is just the balance of this knife and how fast and easy it is to get into all different grips. Now, if you really like the profile of these, you can go with the Quiet Carry Waypoint, which is very, very similar. You can use it in all the same grips, but this one's quite a bit more expensive and might be a little bit more difficult to get. So I didn't put it in the premium category, just letting you know that you could always go with something like this. Very, very grippy G10. It does have magnet cut steel, nice deep hollow ground spear point blade, just like the Elementum. One thing you want to make sure you do though is practice getting to the reverse grip, and when you get good, you can make it land in the direction you want, whether it's edge facing out or edge facing in, because you can kind of choose the direction. Now, to get it into the reverse grip you want, if you want it edge in, then you just pinch it where it's at right there, and then rotate it in, grip it, and now the edge is facing towards you. If you want it edge facing out, flip it. So just pinch, flip, grip it with the thumb and the middle finger, swing it forward, and then grip. And now the edge is facing out. When you do the spin, you need to make sure, you have clearance right here because you're going to spin and rotate it through. So you might, depending on your hand size, the knife you're doing, you might have to pinch it in a specific area to rapidly do it. So you just kind of got to get used to it and figure out, you know, the way it is for that knife for your hand. Like if I want it edge facing in, like I can do it like that. If I want it edge facing out, and I do it like that. So, you know, just practice, because sometimes it will spin a little bit and you might land in the wrong way. So, you know, you want to get comfortable with figuring it out and switching really quick if you need to. Now, with certain ones, certain knives, it's already facing a certain way, so when you spin it, you're going to want to catch it and make sure it's in that side and not the opposite side, because, you know, with a knife like this, with this shaped handle, that's not going to be good. I want it facing outward in this case. So just depending on the knife you're using. So, but if you practice with it, you'll get really good at the spin. And then with the spin, just kind of let it sit in your hand. You can kind of bob it a little bit till it gets to a certain place, and then you can flip it. So get good at that, because then you'll be comfortable with manipulating the knife and flipping it around. Now, I'm not telling you to do anything unsafe. Make sure you're using a dull knife when you do this, or a knife that does not have an edge. But yeah, get comfortable with it. Also, with every knife, there's going to be an issue, right? Regardless what knife it is, it's going to have its limitations and problems. You know, like with a folding knife that folds sideways like that, if you have it in edge out, right, which is going to be the majority of folding knives like this, if it does fail, right, if it does fail, it's going to your fingers, right? So sometimes edge out is, or edge, you know, towards you is better, because if it fails, it's still going to come down, but it's not going to be across your fingers. Yes, it'll probably still cut you, and probably still cut you pretty bad, especially if you have a really sharp edge. But, you know, you got to pick, that's why you should pick a nice strong lock. So there's a lot, because there are some locks that's not going to fail. But most locks have the potential not just to fail, to possibly disengage in an altercation. That's the one cool thing about the OTFs, which we'll talk about here in a second, that they don't fold. So you don't have to worry about that part, right? But you do have to worry about it misfiring, right? And now you have to flick your wrist really hard to get it locked back in place. Because if while you're deploying it, it hits something like that, now you have to whip your wrist really hard and get it back into action. Now, if it's already locked open, it's going to go through. It's not going to close then, or it's not going to disengage then. It'll disengage while it's opening. So that's one thing you want to be careful, like while you're ripping it out of your pocket, rapidly trying to get it out, you know, make sure it's clear. Make sure there's nothing in the way. So, you know, like I said, every single one has their limitations of some sorts, and that's why fixed blades are the best, because they take out the majority of issues, right? There's still going to be some, but the majority. The next one is the ADIMANTI Samson. Now, the ADIMANTI Samson is basically a dagger. So you can go in the edge facing you or the edge out. It doesn't matter which one. You can also wave it out of your pocket. Now, I typically don't recommend liner locks, but when we're in the budget category, we kind of got to get what we can. And I do think it'll still be plenty tough, you know, for certain things, you know, as long as you're not, you know, batoning with it or anything like that. So it's very grippy in the handle. The round capped end or butt end is very easy to cap off. So great knife. And, you know, it does have the guards to stop you from slipping up, you know, in that, you know, situation. Next is the KABAR TDI folding flipper knife. Now, this one is basically a punch dagger. So in the reverse grip, it actually, you know, kind of aims a little bit more, you know, at what you're punching at, kind of. Now, in the forward grip, it does the same thing, and that's what it's kind of designed for, is the forward grip. But it uses a crossbar lock, so it's going to be a nice, strong locking system that you're not going to have to worry about as much failing, which is very important with a situation like this. Now, this one, you cannot face the edge towards you. The flipper tab's in the way. But as long as the edge is facing out, it will work very well. Now, I'm bringing up cold steel, and I do think there's a lot of cold steels that would work just fine. I'm bringing them up mostly because of the lock. The lock is so damn strong. This is one lock you will not have to worry about failing on you, because that is always a threat with a folding knife, and that's why fixed blades are better. So you want a nice, strong, reliable lock that's not easy to disengage. Now, this is the SR1 Light, which is a tactical knife. This knife you can use as a pry bar. You can stab with it. You can use it as a working tool, but it's not very slicey, but it definitely has a nice, you know, pokey end. In the reverse grip, you can cap off still, but you also have a place to stop you from sliding up. Very, very grippy, and it's got, you know, a lot of distance with it because it is nice and long. And then with that triad lock, you're not gonna have to worry about it failing. The engage, the cold steel engage. Now this one, again, you know, the grip is, you know, you're basically trapped inside the grip. So if you want to thrust forward or put it in the gas station knife fighting grip and cap the butt end off, it will work good. You have a clip point blade, which does work very well for these types of things. And it has this Atlas lock, which is very, very strong. Now, I'm not mentioning any karambits because I don't think they work well in the grip that they are actually intended for, as far as for most people. So with the karambit, I think in the forward grip it works good because this is natural for people to slash like this, but in the reverse grip you have to slash upward. Now you can do the jab, but the problem is that you kind of have to kink your wrist a little bit and do the jab, because if it hits, especially with a folding version, if you go to do the jab and it hits here, one, it's not doing anything, but two, it has the chance that if the lock did fail, it's going to close on you because the pressure isn't going towards the stop pin when you hit it. Is it going to fail? Depends on the lock strength, but I just think it's more natural for people to use a karambit in the forward grip, you know, if you're not trained with a karambit. So the next one is the CIVIVI Vision FG. They do have a premium version of this, but what's cool about this is you can go edge out or edge in very comfortably. It has an incredible strong lock. Also, you can go with the forward grip as well, but with the gas station knife fighting grip, nice easy cap, nice neutral grip. So it's going to be pretty easy because you have these holes right here. So what you can do is you can just cap the holes off with your finger. The clip is kind of in the way, but you can also go down here, doesn't matter, but basically you can swing it forward like that. So you swing it forward, let it flow through your hand, pull it in the grip. So pretty easy to do because of those little circles. It's a nice flow. So these are really, really awesome, and they make awesome pocket knives, you know, regardless, you know. So this is not for the gas station knife fighting grip, but I do want to bring it up because they do make a budget version and a premium version, and this is a punch dagger, the TYPHOEUS. So basically, it sits in your sheath just like this. So when you pull it out, it's already ready to be a punch dagger. You know, kind of the same thought process, just with your knuckles. Now you can slash, you can punch, you can go between the middle finger or the pointer finger, and then if you want to, you can use it as a regular pocket knife as well. So it just winds up being a self-defense knife and a pocket knife. And also, when it is in the punch dagger, as long as you're squeezing this, it's not going to move. Like, it feels like a fixed blade at that point. So it is very solid in the hand in the punch dagger. Now, I've seen a lot of crap go down at a gas station, you know, and that's kind of, you know, generally where this comes from, because in a balance of probabilities, if you're going to get into an altercation, a gas station is kind of a, you know, a threatening place, because so many different types of people gather there, gather and leave. They come and go, they come and go. So you have chances of passing or interacting with somebody who might have a mental condition, who might be on drugs, who might be very desperate, might be, you never know, right? You never know what type of person. And I've actually seen and been through a lot of crazy situations with gas stations. I'm sure the situations are more likely to go down in certain neighborhoods or certain places. However, I do think it can happen anywhere, and I'm sure a lot of you have been through weird situations at gas stations as well. Now, I do want to bring up, before we get to the premium ones, about slashing, because, you know, I mentioned the backwards punch, you know, or the jab, you know, the backwards jab. When anything knife related, you never want to make big sweeping motions. Actually, the one time when I was actually attacked with a knife, that was actually how I got it out of the guy's hand, was because he was making big sweeping motions. You want to keep everything nice and tight and short and sweet, and, you know, just nice and fast. You don't want to make sweeping motions where your arms are up and out and swinging. So, you know, just be aware of that, because that gives an opening for somebody to grab your limbs, to rush in, to stop you, to bum rush you, all these things, because it takes a second. Once your arm goes up, you're open. Once your arm goes past, you're open. So let's get to some premium ones. We got the KANSEPT FENRIR. Now the FENRIR is a knife that, in my opinion, was designed for this. Not only in the forward grip, because the way the handle goes, it pushes right into your hand, and, you know, you have this harpoon, so you can poke really well with it, but you can also swing it, get it in the reverse grip, and you see how this the harpoon sweeps. Your palm kind of goes right into that. You can cap it off real easily. It works really good for the backwards thrust. You can also go edge in. It's not as comfortable, you know, and you know, because this is kind of not comfortable, but you can do it. I do prefer edge out. So this one is, you know, like I said, we're in the premium range, so now these knives are going to get a little bit more expensive. They are more premium materials. It is considered a frame lock, not a liner lock, so the lock theoretically should be a little bit stronger. Always test your lock, you know, make sure it doesn't slip. Next one, because it's a clip point, it works really well for self-defense purposes. For lunging forward, you have the flipper tab preventing you from slipping up, and the pommel of the handle back here also kind of, you know, gives you a little bit of traction. Now in the Gastation knife fighting grip, you can easily cap off. You also have the guard again, and, you know, it's a nice blade for that type of purpose. Now you're not going to be able to do edge in, but, you know, for edge out. Also with edge out, I should have mentioned, you know, yeah, you can do the backwards jab, but also if you had to throw swings and use your knuckle, you know, for punching, when you punch, you know, as long as the knife fits in your hand pretty well, you know, and it's not going to hurt you and break your knuckles when you do this, you'll actually, when you punch, you're going to sweep past, and the edge will come into contact with the things you punch. Because if you punch, theoretically, if you punch well, your hand should follow through, where, you know, as it goes past, the next thing is going to be right here that, you know, catches. This is a very premium new knife, great flipping action, frame lock, lockup, so nice, you know, decently strong lockup. Now the next one is the Diatomic, the Diatomic. Now this one you can use in the edge facing you or edge out, doesn't matter. You can cap it off as well, which is very important. The one failure with this is that they put the clip on this side. Well, one, it's tip down, right, instead of tip up, but number two, you can't use the wave feature. These are usually used as a wave, like we were showing earlier with the GANZO, how you can wave it out of your pocket. You can't wave this one out, so that one is a downfall. But the Diatomic did get Tactical Knife of the Year at Blade Show 2023 Atlanta. Nice and slim profile, you know, while also being relatively thick in the hand, so, you know, you can get a good grip without, you know, fear of it slipping. Very smooth action, nice flipper deployment, and premium materials with titanium and 20 CV. But the next one is the BESTECH CETUS. Now the BESTECH CETUS has a very pokey tanto, so the handle is very thick, and you can see the way it's shaped. It goes in the hand really well, so you feel like you could thrust really easily with it. Now you can also get it in the reverse grip, which is very, very comfortable. You can cap the end off, and that tip is very, very pokey. You can also go edge in. It's not as comfortable, but you can if you needed to, you know, because you could still cap it off at the end. It uses a crossbar lock, so it's a nice strong locking system. You're not going to have to worry about it failing on you unless if this gets pushed, you know, out of the way, which, you know, it really shouldn't theoretically, but, you know, there's always the chance with any folding knife that can happen. Next is SPYDERCO YOJIMBO or YOJIMBO, doesn't really matter. Now these are actually self-defense knives. They came from the original design, which was a fixed blade, and this is a folding version of it. It's a Warnglyph, so it's made for when it penetrates, it opens up a big wound. Very thin hollow grind, so it's super duper pokey. And in the reverse grip, it actually has the edge closer to your knuckles, so when you're jabbing, you know, it'd be pretty nasty to be jabbed with this. Another thing with the Yojimbo is it's designed to be devastating from heel to tip. So like when you slash with a knife, if it has a belly, it has a tendency, once it hits the belly, to slip out. With this, there's no belly, so it's going to be the same amount of pressure from here all the way to the tip before it comes out. Now the big one is a lot bigger. This thing is a very big knife. You shouldn't use it in the edge in. I don't think this one works well with it. The smaller one may be a little bit better, but for some reason, I don't know, this spot right there just makes it, you could do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would just recommend keeping it with the edge out. But the compression lock, nice strong locking system. You can see the two different sizes here. This one's gonna be a little bit better for most people, as one, it'll be legal in more areas, but two, it's just more EDC friendly. Great utility cutting blade, so it's gonna serve you well just as a pocket knife, let alone as a gas station knife fighting knife. Now, I know these can be difficult to get, so I'm gonna quickly talk about it. I do think there's some of these available right now. I'll link them down in the description if they are, but they comes in a clip point and a Tonto version. This is also like a folding pry bar and a very, you know, decent cutter. It's a hard use knife. It's a liner lock, but this is a tough liner lock. It is a titanium liner lock. I've seen these things get abused, and I've even abused them. The back end has a glass breaker, so you can, one, break yourself out of a window if you need to, but you can also use it as a defensive tool. Now, because of the grips, it makes it very neutral. Now, it's not going to be the most comfortable to cap off, but, you know, there's a lot of grippiness to where, you know, you can kind of lock in pretty well. You know, I don't fear slipping up. Even if I stab this into the table, I don't fear that. Now, you can also go edge in, so, and you can still cap off. You know, it's just, it's going to hurt you a little bit because, you know, of the glass breaker, but not that it's that big of a deal in a situation like this. You know, you're going to be willing to take a little bit of pain here and there. But for the forward thrust or the reverse jab, it's going to work very well. It's very easy to switch into the grip because of just how neutral the ergos are. And that's another reason why I like, you know, these types of grips or ergos. But, you know, with any knife, you can just pinch and spin. So pretty easily. We already talked about the TYPHOEUS and we talked about the Waypoint. So we already talked about two other premium ones earlier in the video, but I do want to bring up one more premium one, and that's going to be the MANIX 2. This one is a GP Knives exclusive, and yes, they came out with a satin version. These will be dropping on the 19th. They also come in black and white. Either one will work just fine in a gas station knife fight. Maybe the black one a little bit better. But anyways, when you're in the grip with this, you have a great grip. This is made to kind of thrust with. And when you're in the reverse grip, same thing. You can cap it off real easily. This is a great one in my opinion. Now, the one downfall is you have the finger choil that can catch on things kind of. And you're not going to want to use it like this in a self-defense situation. However, it has a very strong lock, a very durable, reliable lock that I personally think is very important, and I wouldn't worry about this thing folding. Now, you can't use it edge in. You can only use it edge out just because of the shape of the handle, but edge out, man, it works really, really well. You can see the XL is quite a bit bigger than the smaller one. I do think that this is going to be the more practical one, even though this one would probably serve you better, you know, as you're going to get more distance with it. The MANIX 2 is just an all-around amazing tool that you could also use in a self-defense situation, as with a lot of Spydercos. So really quick, with any knife that has this hole deployment, you can put a zip tie here. You can put a zip tie here and make it a wave feature. So Spydercos have a lot of designs that work very well for self-defense, whether it's the Endura, the Indela, the Stretch, PM2s, all of them have a shape that works very well, and the backlock ones are really cool because they have a lot more neutral grips, and you know, some of them are very long. So awesome knives coming from SPYDERCO. So they have a long list of knives that would work very well for this, and like I said, you can always put the wave feature on them. Really quick, OTFs. I do think OTFs are really good for this. Now, you know, depending on where you're at will depend on whether or not you can carry them. But the beauty with them is a lot of them are daggers, double-edged daggers. So, you know, one, you can thrust, but two, when you get it in the reverse grip, you have an edge on both sides. Very neutral ergo, so, you know, it makes it to where you can easily and rapidly rotate grips very well. This is the Tecto Humvee. The Tecto Humvee has a glass breaker on the back. The handle is big. This one's a little bit beefier than this one, which is the Spry. Now the Humvee has a serrated and, you know, a double edge, but what's cool is just this handle, man. It's very ergonomic. It feels heavy duty. You know, this is one of the most heavy duty OTFs I've tried. Now I'm not going to bring up the new Max Ace one. I just, you know, I know that one's pretty expensive, and you know, I could bring up, because these aren't cheap either, but you could also talk about any of the MICROTECHs will work just fine. The MICROTECH Troodon, any one of them. I'm not even going to name them all because MICROTECH has a ton of OTFs that will work great for this. This one also has a glass breaker in the back. Now, this one does not have a glass breaker in the back, but this one's from Axial Gear. Axial Gear is another company with OTFs that you can get. This one's the Zack in the Wild edition, but they have many other ones. And like I said, just with these grips, you know, it makes it real easy to get to a second grip or the reverse grip. So OTFs are always a decent one. Now there's also the gravity knife. So I have to bring up the gravity knife because this works really well in the you can even fire it in the reverse grip. So this is one of the best gas station knife fighting knives because you can easily get it out, and then when you're squeezing it, it can't, you know, unlock on you. Now if you have it in the forward grip, you can lock it. So you can unlock it very easily, get it out, lock it, and then now, you know, it's ready in the forward grip, or you can reverse to the reverse grip, and it's double-edged. Now they have different versions, so you can go with double-edged or single-edged, you know, just depending on what blade you want. But they have different sizes. They got large, medium, and small versions of these. These are the most premium gravity knives I've ever seen. But, you know, they are not going to be, they're going to be restricted, even though I know it's against our Second Amendment and everything. They are going to be restricted in some cities, in some places. So, you know, check your local laws. You know, I'm not telling you what you can or can't carry, but this is a great one in that sort of situation. And it does come with a clip as well. So, you know, which, like all these knives that I featured, all came with a clip. Next is fixed blades. Now we're going to talk about a couple affordable ones. This is the Variable Claw from Dirk Pinkerton. This is a neck knife. So this one's a little bit more small and compact. However, you can use it in the forward grip. You can hit it in the middle. Or you can put it in the gas station knife fighting grip. Now the thing is it's a neck knife though, so it's not going to be easy to retract from the neck, from the chain, and do it like that. Unless if you carry it, you know, like on the belt or something. But, you know, in the forward grip, this is still, you know, a decent gas station knife fighting blade, you know, to get somebody off of you. Next is the BPS. Now, the BPS knives, this is very affordable. It's only 5 CR steel, but it makes for a great cap. You can cap this off, whether the edge is in or out. It is only single edge though, it's not double edge. So you can go edge in or edge out. It has a lot of balance. Even in the forward grip, you can kind of tuck your pinky behind here to jam it into something. The sheath works in both directions, but it's a long dagger, basically, that's not double-edged. It is single-edged. And, you know, for somebody on a tight budget, you know, it will work. Next, the Guardian. When you spin it around, you get it in the reverse grip, especially with the edge out. This is mega comfortable. Very comfortable. You can use it with the edge in, but it's not as comfortable. Now, the Bradford Guardians come in different blade lengths, so there is different sizes and different handle materials. Also, it comes with a leather sheath, or at least this one does. Now, you can carry this Scout carry, which is cool, so you can yank it from your back. However, you probably can find these with Kydex sheaths. I'm not sure about that, so definitely look for them. I'll try to link what I can down in the description. Next is the clinch pick. So we have the clinch pick 2.0. Now you can get it double-edged. which works super good. These things are like designed for the reverse jab. Now you can also use it in the forward grip, but what's cool is you have two edges. So you got an edge facing towards you and away from you, and and the handle is designed to not be able to be stripped from your hand, which is really cool. Now this one's a single-edged version if you're a little bit more comfortable with that. Now, like I said, you can also use these in the forward grip. And what's cool is these go right at the front of your belt, so they're very easy to conceal and very difficult to stop you from getting out. You know, like, you know, if you were in a situation where somebody was on top of you, behind you, or whatever, you can easily get to these. Now, my number one choice for fixed blades is going to be TKELL knives. Now TKELL, man, he has a ton of great self-defense knives, all different sizes, all different kinds. These are just a few examples. This one's a neck knife. You can see he's got an attitude adjuster back there. Now with the ring, you know, you can use it still in the reverse or forward grip, but like this knife, the Night Stalker, this one has a double-edged. So when I'm in the reverse grip, if I did need to strip out of somebody's hands, I have this double-edged. So I have a forward and backwards. And because of it being a clip point blade like it is, or a drop point blade, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be very, very pokey in you know, in all, basically all directions. In the forward grip, same thing, you know, and, you know, with the ring, your fingers going to tuck around it so you're not going to slip up the blade, and it prevents them from being able to strip it from your hand as easily. Now with this one's thick as a brick, so it's basically indestructible, but it's also double-edged. So in the Gastation knife fighting grip, you can jab with it, you can slash backwards, or you can use it in the forward grip, and all of these knives are going to work great for EDC. Now this one is the MR1, and the MR1 is a PIKAL. It's designed to be in the PIKAL grip. Now with the PIKAL grip, because it's a Wharncliffe, the edge is facing towards you. So again, you can strip out, you know, if somebody grabs your hand, but you can also get it in the forward grip, which works very well. You can thrust with it, you can cut backwards with it. It's probably going to be the best in a reverse grip, you know, especially with the jab. Now this is going to be best in the PIKAL or reverse Gastation knife fighting grip, or if you do it forward in the reverse grip. You're not going to want to go forward with it. So it's not going to be the best EDC tool, but you absolutely could use it. TKELL sheaths are really good. They have good retention. You know, they have push-off point. Now, he has lots of different ways you can carry these. You can carry these like this on a clip, where you clip it to your belt, or clip it behind the seam of your pants, where you know, basically tuck it. You can static line it, where you take a chain and wrap it around your belt loop, and then you have it in your pocket, so when you pull it out, the chain will hold on to the sheath so that you can deploy it. Lots of different ways to carry these. You know, you can even just carry them directly right on the belt. So TKELL has a ton of carry options. I will link everything I can down in the description for you guys. Now, this was just a fun video. I enjoyed making this. Now, you know, I know, this is a serious situation, you know, if we really get serious. And I was halfway serious through most of this. I want to be clear. But we all know firearms are going to be the best defensive weapon you can have. Actually, spatial awareness is going to be your number one, but you know, a firearm is definitely the number one choice for a self-defense tool. However, it's not always the best, right? It's not always the best. There is situations where a knife is going to be the best option. There's also a lot of things you can do with a knife that you can't do with anything else, right? That's the whole point of a knife. So you have a nice tool on you that you're carrying all the time, and in a certain situation, if you need to, run into Kevin at you know, the Quickie Mart at 2 a.m. getting your last Slurpee. You at least have something to take care of that situation with. Guys, I love you guys, and work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.